Hello, this is Bino. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an arborist and a tree climber specialist, and what I like to do on my channel is share tree climbing tips with beginners and experts. What I have planned for today is using an MRS system and redirects with a sling. I'm going to try 3 different ones, so let's get to it. The first redirect that I'm going to do in this MRS system is a basket one, where I use a revolver carabiner and a pinto pulley with a carabiner. So what I'll end up doing is putting both lines in the carabiner. It's something that you have to go back to though. You can't set up and retrieve it. Now this is, if you were planning on doing a long walk and you didn't want to swing, you know, actually this is just a footlock press-sick, and I've girth hitched both sides so the carabiner won't float. What I'm going to do is do maybe a wrap. All right, cool. Now I'm going to let slack out of my line. Oops. Because what I have to do is get my climbing line in the carabiners. So I'm going to set this one up with my termination in. All right, now I got the spine on this side, and the other spine, or actually I'm just going to use a pinto pulley, so it doesn't really make so much of a difference. Now with this one, what I'm going to do, I'll get the pulley, throw it on the line, and then clip it. Okay, so now here's my redirect. Now say I had a long distance and I was worried about swing. Now I'm not going to swing, and then I could go down and work a section. So let me unhook. Now this is definitely one that you're going to have to get back to. And now I'll descend. So in the past, what you would do is just throw it in a crotch, and then these 2 pieces of line would be stuck on the union. So this way, you've got away from that. You'll be able to do your work, and then what you'll do is go back up to that where the redirect is. So I'll go back to it. Okay, at this point is where I would take it off, loosen up my line, disconnect, take off my pulley, connect it back on. Oops. And then I'm ready to get back to work onto my line. All right, let me disconnect. There. So another way to do a redirect is like a choking, and I think I like this one a little bit better, because you're going to put your rope through these 2 pieces. So like I said, this is just a foot locking sling. You can use different sizes. This is kind of overkill because I don't really need that much on this branch. But the way you do it is you just put it through and you choke it. So this is actually too much for me, so I'm going to wrap it a few times and then choke it. And this is definitely one that I have to get back to. So go another one. see if that brings me to where I want to be. Yeah, so that's a little bit better. Okay, so now what I'll do, I already got my lanyard on. I'm gonna tighten up my lanyard. Not really that tight. Okay, so now I'm snug here on my lanyard, and now I got to put tension on my rope. I mean, I got to lose tension on my rope. Oops. And what I'm gonna do is I'm behind this branch, so I'm gonna go around the branch and oops, feed it back through. So go around the branch. The first thing I'll do is get the pulley, put the the pulley back on the rope, and go right back into the pulley. I give myself some more slack, connect to where I normally connect. All right, and now the other line, I'm going to bring it over the branch, and now I'm going to connect into this carabiner. So here I go, undo the carabiner, throw my line in, and now I'm going to reconnect to myself. Okay, now you can see how it's captured. When it starts to work, both of the lines are going to be in this pulley. One's not going to have a pulley, but just a carabiner that moves freely. So let me see if I can loosen up and try to go down. Let me see. Now unhook my lanyard. Okay, now I'm pretty much going to be on the rope. There we go. So there's my sling, my redirect. It's I kind of got a little bit messed up, but it'll work. And I'll show you how it works. See how nice? They're right together, they're not separated. I think the only downside is you have to go back up to your tie-in point. Then you just descend like you normally would. Oops. And if you were on a wide branch and you connected it, see how you could work your area that you wanted to. Now, like I said, the only downside is now I definitely have to go back up to my tie-in point. All right, let me get to that right now. Disconnect that. That's my termination end. So now I'm gonna go around the branch and I'll bring it back up to myself. Cut where I normally cut. Now I'm gonna do my friction hit side. And I'll go around here. And then I'll connect it where I normally climb. Right here. Now I'll work on tending some of the slack. And I'll undo the redirect, taking off the pulley, connect it back to the carabiner, and then unhook the choking one. And I get it and connect it back to my belt, however I connect it. And then I would tighten up my line. Oops. And I'm ready to go back to my original tie-in point. So now I'm on my next position where I'm going to use a basket sling, and what I'm going to do is it'll be a retrievable one. So say if I was working and I got to a part where it's like the last part of the tree way far out, and all I'm going to do is go to the ground and pull my line out. I'll connect this, that way I can retrieve it from the ground. So what I got to do, put my lanyard on first. I'm going to put it up kind of high, and I'm going to take the tension out of my line. Get tight on my lanyard. Okay. Now I'm going to take some tension out of this line here. Now the majority of the weight is on my lanyard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this termination in. I'm going to bring it around these two branches, and I'm going to connect it to the wide carabiner. And I got to remember it's my termination, and actually I could just fit it through. I don't even have to disconnect. So I'm going to fit it through, and then I'm going to reconnect to myself. I don't know if you can see this, but reconnect to my termination part. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my climbing hitch portion. I'll disconnect it, and I'll go around. And now what I'm going to do is get this pinto pulley carabiner set up. So first I'll connect to myself so I don't lose my line, and then I'll disconnect the carabiner with the pulley, connect it back to the rope. Now I'll connect it back on. Now this is a basket hitch, so you gotta be careful. Actually, I made a mistake here. I gotta make sure I wrap around the trunk and not just a tiny little branch. So now I'm around a good branch. Now I'm not gonna get sunk. And now I'm gonna connect it to my rope. Let's see, this way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'll take tension off of my lanyard, and then I'll get seated onto that the redirect. All right, so make sure I'm not going to drop. So now get tension on it. I'll disconnect my lanyard. Reconnect. So now I'm full on under my climbing line. I'm gonna get over there and let myself down. There we go. And now I'm gonna descend down to the ground. Or actually, if I was gonna work, I could work with this redirect, right? And then once I'm done, I'll go down to the ground. So I'll work on going to the ground now. Here we go. I got to remember to grab some loop so it's not tough. Okay. Pull more on my line. All right. So now that I've hit the ground, what I'm going to do is to retrieve this. I put the large carabiner on my termination end. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna undo this, and I'm gonna put an overhand knot. Okay, got my overhand knot. Now what'll happen is I'll pull on my other part of my line. This overhand knot's going to go through my final and come up to where the pinto pulley is, and it should retrieve the redirect just like it would if it were a friction saver. You got to remember that if you're going to do this, you can't have a friction saver up in the tree because it would get stuck up in the friction saver. So here we go. I'll bring my termination end up. Hopefully it works well. Pull it through. Okay, it's gone through the first crotch, or the carabiner. All right. Oh, that's not good. Okay, cool. Now I hooked it to the pinto pulley. Now hopefully I don't get snagged on anything. Here it goes. There. All right. Not the most delicate and best form, but it will work. I'd say if you had a better sling, one that didn't have a big old knot in it, it could work a heck of a lot better. Well, there you go. MRS redirects with slings, or a sling. There's different types of slings you can use using the MRS system. We did it three different ways. Two were just with a carabiner and a pinto pulley. One was choking, one was basket. We followed it up with a retrievable basket, a redirect. I gotta say that basket redirect didn't work all the best. Didn't really have a saw, but if you're gonna set up a basket redirect, then you want to clean any little nubs around it. There was a nub up there that I don't have any tools, so I didn't cut it clean, and it did get stuck up on a nub. It's a little bit more of a clean operation, especially if you have a wide crotch. Anyhow, that's just a real quick overview of those three different redirects using an MRS system. Remember that if you're doing any new techniques in tree work, do it low and slow. You don't want to get hurt. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you like what we do, and by all means share our videos with your friends. All right, take care. We'll see you next time.